What's up, everybody? Quick disclaimer, I was raised in Boston, so if I say things that are mean tonight, it's just how I was raised, okay? Boston's a place they don't want you to get out, they don't want you to grow, they don't want you to learn. You know, when I was a kid, if you used proper English, you would just get your face kicked in. Someone's like, how you doing? You're like, oh, I'm well. They're like, oh, you are? What are you, a fucking doctor now? You're good. I'm like, oh, okay. Made the mistake of telling my friends I went for a hike in the forest one time. They go, oh, you're in the forest? Were you, Robin Hood? Were there fairies there? It's like, what? They're like, you were in the woods. Start your story over. I was like, oh. My mother had toxic masculinity. That's how bad it was. I was the youngest of four, and she'd always say, you know, your sister Kristen was the only one conceived out of love. I'm like, Mom, 11. You cool if I blow the candles out and then we'll get into the divorce again? She'd wash her mouth out with soap. Anyone ever get their mouth washed out with soap? What is that? Because we swore? Because of a word? The other day my son swore and I just go, hey, what are we doing? He goes, sorry, Dad. I go, it's all right. You want a hot dog? That was it. When my kids act up, you know what I do? I have them do a gratitude list. Anyone here do a gratitude list daily? If you don't know what it is, it's when you make a list of things you're grateful for so you approach the day with a positive mindset instead of walking around being like, why don't I have a Ferrari? The other day, my daughter was acting up, and I go, sit down and do a gratitude list. She's 9. She looks at me, she goes, I don't know what to write. And I go, how about legs? Do you like your legs? She was like, what else? And I go, how about eyes? Do you like seeing things? Those are two things we take for granted the most. We get up, we walk around, we see things. We never wake up and like, oh, I'm so grateful to have these legs and these eyes. Well, I went to Disneyland, and I was walking through the gift shop, and I saw a woman walking with her daughter, and she was 13, and she was blind, walking with a cane. And all I could think to myself is, how lucky is this woman that her daughter's not going to ask for her to buy anything? She could think she's in a hallway. She doesn't know. I was like, why even take her to Disney? Pop her in a Jeep, drop the top, hit a couple speed bumps, tell her it's Magic Mountain. What are we doing? I can make that joke because I have a gratitude list. I'm grateful for the things that I have. I think it's a different time now for kids. You know, kids don't have backpacks. They don't have backpacks. They have these roller bags. Walk around school like they have a connecting flight through Charlotte. Like, what's going on? They're like, assembly's delayed. I'm going to hit the lounge. Life was different when I was... Who's got an Apple Watch right now? Who's got an Apple Watch on? What time you got? 10:49. 10:49. That's what I have. That wasn't always the case. There wasn't always a universal time. You might have 10:49. I might have 11:08. Now everything's programmed in. It's different. We used to ask for directions. You remember asking for directions? You'd go up to a complete stranger and be like, hey, do you want to determine the next 20 minutes of my life? And they're like, yeah, I'll fucking do that. It was blind trust. It was a different world. You know what I mean? Now, the former President Trump was shot, we just fucking blow it off. When I was a kid, every 2 years, a kid would fall down a well. He'd fall down a well, and the whole country would be like, they got a fucking kid in a well. We gotta figure it out. Every bar in the nation, like, is he out of the well? Like, he's still in the well. Big dudes like, they gotta get this fucking kid out of the well. Trump got shot. I had to go in and talk to my kids. They're in the playroom. I go, hey, guys, just want to let you know former President Trump was shot. And they're like, what? I go, it's all right. He's okay. He's okay. And I go, I just want to say, guys, regardless of your political affiliation, they're 10 and 9. I don't know where they stand. I go, we should never root for something like that to happen. We don't want someone to get hurt or killed. That's not who we are. And my daughter goes, I know. I feel bad for him. And I was like, all right, well, let's pump the brakes. We don't need to feel bad for him. When you got kids, you got to explain things. Kidnapping. My kids walk to school. I have to explain to them. Someone pulls up, tries to get in your car. You don't go. They don't know me. They don't need your help. You run and you yell. And they're like, well, why would they do that? I'm like, well, there's people out there and they steal kids. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, well, And they're like, well, what do they do? And I'm like, well, they f*** them. That's what they're like, what? I'm like, sometimes they kill them. Sometimes they kill them. Sometimes they kill them, then they I don't know. I don't know. I just wonder sometimes who our children are going to look up to. Who are they going to look to for a role model? There's not a lot of great role models out there. When I was a kid, I had Jesse Owens, I had O.J. Simpson, I had people to look. I did see a great story about Mark Hamill. Do you guys know who Mark Hamill is? He played Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, if you don't know. And there was this boy dying of cancer, and his last dying wish was to meet Luke Skywalker. Not to meet Mark Hamill, to meet Luke Skywalker. The kid's aunt called Mark Hamill's agent. The agent was like, I can't promise anything. I'll tell Mark, but I can't promise anything. Mark Hamill heard the story. He goes, give me the kid's address. I'm going. Showed up at his house in character, in costume, and sat with this boy for 4 hours, telling stories, answering questions. I'm like, that's a role model. Brought a lightsaber. And then Mark Hamill, as Luke Skywalker, for the boy's last dying wish, used the Force from across the room and put that kid down. He put him down. Put him out of his misery from across the room. Gave the kid what he wanted. You know how hard that must have been for Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker? It's a tough time to be alive. Things are changing. The economy's changing constantly. The environment is changing constantly. People are changing. Everything is changing. It's hard to know how to be a good parent. It's hard to know how to be a good child. It's hard to know how to be a good white, A lot of bad whites. I don't know if you watch the news, a lot of bad whites. Saw a bad white in my neighborhood the other day. I'm a pretty chill guy. How chill? I'm driving in my car with a coffee, no top. That's how chill. Coffee, no top. I'm sitting at a red light, light turns green, I go, bad white rips through the red light, cuts me off. I don't like it, I start following the guy. And by follow, I mean tailgate. I start riding his ass. He doesn't like it, he jams on the brakes, I jam on the brakes. What do you think happens? The coffee, nope, I'm fresh to death. I went brakes, coffee, just like that. Centrifugal force, gravity, whatever that is, I did it. You ever do something so amazing but no one else is there to see it and you have to celebrate alone? I was like, did you fucking see that? I'm like, no, Then he tried to lose me in my neighborhood. My neighborhood! I know every single street. Guy made a left on Rosewood. I laughed out loud. I'm like, he's taking Rosewood! 5 stop signs. 5 stop signs. I'm taking Palms. 2 stop signs. I get to the second stop sign. Here he comes out of Rosewood. Here I come out of Palms. He punches it. I punch it. I get out in front of him. What do? I slow it down. Yeah, I slow it down about 2 miles an hour. He's behind me, swerving back and forth, jamming on the horn. And I love confrontation, so I pulled over. And then he pulled over, and he goes, you motherfucker, you gonna fucking tailgate me? Now, when someone's this angry, there's only one way to make them even more angry, and that's to say something that doesn't make sense. And that's exactly what I did. I just looked over and I go, you gotta chill it down, bro. You gotta chill it down. Not chill out, not calm down, chill it down. Do you know anyone saying chill it down? You don't. It's not a saying. No one says chill it down. It's the whitest thing you can say is chill it down. I said it, I hated it. I saw how much he hated it, and then I fell in love with it, and I just kept saying it. Now, the whole time in his passenger seat is his son, about 14 years old, earbuds in, completely dead inside. Just dead inside. Dad's yelling at me, I got a dead inside kid, I'm chilling it down. All of a sudden, I see a light bulb go off in the dad's head, and he looks over and he goes, you and your coffee? And I was like, first of all, it's an oat milk latte. Second of all, I was impressed that this bad white thought he was being PC by not calling me the F word, but that he thought that coffee was in play. And I wasn't about to lose to coffee at 9:15 on a Thursday morning from a bad white. And I just looked over and I go, "Your son doesn't love you!" And then I drove away. And then I just drove around looking for more bad whites. Pretty busy day, you guys, I gotta tell you. Want to let you know that I don't condone the use of the F word. I used in that story to give it context and depth. I also don't condone the use of the N word. Unless you're a black guy and you're talking to me, and then in that case, fucking have at it. Because if you've ever had a black friend call you the N word, you know, it feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I was on a hike with my buddy and we're talking, and he called me the N word. I was like, Hey, I'm Jay Larson, you guys. Thanks so much.